and same as usual, I'll just be a minute or so. I'm looking for something to talk about.
Very well.
Sniper, ten cuidado. ¿Qué onda?
Okay, make sure that when we're decloaking near her, because we want to be getting all of our max damage on her rather than being like a mile away. This is like on the very, very brink of like I'd probably say further than we want to be playing, and then like even if it wasn't further than we want to be playing, it's like on the very, very edge. Preferably we're decloaking like right here, so that when we decloak, we're able to just mow her down in the head rather than decloaking and being a mile away and doing very little damage. Because look how little damage we do before we end up getting shredded.
Yeah.
Additionally,
¿Qué onda?
we're kind of on we're kind of on their side, but it's like not super far on their side. This is further to the side, which means they have to turn more, and the more they have to turn, the harder it's going to be and the longer it's going to take them.
And
So
with the head cover from the car.
yep,
Well,
exactly.
I
That's
didn't
another
think
thing.
about.
Yep.
Thank you.
So you're starting off really far away. Make sure you're watching for them be looking at us there. Oh my goodness. It's possible Widowmaker's smurfing at the very least.
Yeah, they're very good. I don't think they were hacking, but well, I can't really tell. But I don't think they were hacking. So I think they were just very good.
It'd be obvious that she's hacking if she were to like decloak you or something like that.
Yeah,
when you're
when I've played against people who were hacking, and it was not this hard.
Yeah.
My
If you're gonna
pleasure.
play on it for this long, you might as well just hack it, because that's also gonna help your team in the long run as well. Right now we probably want to be going invis and like running up to the top so that we can just get a better position on them rather than sitting down main, where we can't really do a ton from down main. Alright, good, we run in.
Guess they haven't had enough.
Okay, let's look where our translocator is. I believe, is it still back here? Yes, it's still back here. A little far away from the fight, right? So you don't want this all the way back here, because that means that we, because I believe last time, like when we have talked in the past about how you place good translocators, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about things like you want to make sure you have to think through a couple things. You have to make sure that you're getting healing fast. You have to make sure that you're getting back to the fight fast, and you want to make sure it's safe, right?
If it was close to
Mhm.
to either the mega or the front of the bus, it would have been better. So I could still have the sightline out when it
Yeah, so Mega would get you healing faster. Closer up here would get you back to the fight faster. So, like, to be honest, right, you could probably do something like just tossing it behind this, like, this pillar right here, and then you might be good there, because it's just it. It's unlikely if you're up a bunch of people that they would push in super far to break it. Now they are pushing around that corner, so, but they don't notice that they don't do that. So just plopping it down here could get you healing from your teammates and just get you back sooner, or putting it back here would be fine too. But all of which, like, this is probably one of the worst spots, just because you don't have healing fast and you're far away from the fight, and yes, it's safe, but that's the only box you're checking off there. Watch the Mercy. All right, pay attention to her, because she just took a Junkrat pellet to the face, so you could have decloaked and finished her off if we were watching her health bar. So that's an opportunity that we missed, right? Because if you notice here, Junkrat pellet just comes in and boops her, and then we kind of ignore her.
¿Qué onda?
All right.
¿Qué onda?
So when you are decloaking on the Widowmaker, make sure that she's in the middle of scoping in and standing still. We decloak the moment that she stops shooting and starts reloading and is moving around. When she is standing, and when she's scoped in and shooting at things, that means it's going to take her longer for her to acquire you as a target. It's going to mean that she's basically standing still because she has a very slow movement speed. So you can mow or put a lot more headshots into her and then mow her down, versus if she's moving around, this can be a lot more difficult. So make sure you're waiting until she starts standing still. Again, maybe just a little bit far away when we could be like, possibly sneaking up a little bit closer. Besides that, she's in the middle of being pocketed by 2 supports. So what would you say, like, the likelihood is that you're going to be able to kill her here?
Yeah, it's not very likely.
Not very likely. So possibly might getting you more value to like decloak, hack the Reinhardt, and then you could start shooting at Reinhardt or start shooting at them. Right? It depends, but I'd say it's maybe a little bit not likely to be actually secure the kill on her if she's being pocketed by 2 supports.
Let them eat cake. I might need this later.
I didn't expect her to headshot me every time first try.
Yep, that's gonna happen at like higher ranks, so you just gotta be like ready for that to happen. And if like you see that she's about to shoot at you, you might want to. Oh, okay. So if you see she's about to shoot at you, you might want to just translocate out, right, or something like that. Snap. Slightly delayed to respond to that, but not super bad.
See you later. I don't think they got the hint.
Yeah, here I was really scared of the Widow already.
You have good ways. Get in there. Let them eat cake. Reboot.
That was a really good shot by the Widow there. It was
Always
insanely.
leave
Yeah, I'd say at the very minimum she's probably smurfing, or she just has insane aim. Sometimes that happens with lower ranked players. And they just have terrible everything else.
Sniper, ten cuidado.
Okay, so we do see she does happen to be low HP, but think about like what are we actually accomplishing at the moment if our entire team is dead and we already have our ultimate, right? Not really gonna do a ton. Now, if you saw that the Ana was low, then that's different. But we decloaked before we even saw Ana's health bar, right? So in this situation, probably best that you wait for your team to regroup. Don't go in if you don't have any teammates alive, because then you're not really going to be able to do anything. And then now, look what happens. I would imagine you probably get forced out, and then now you're out of position for the next fight when you could have been in position for the next fight, right? Ready to EMP them all. So make sure, in between fights, we want to be resetting so that we can be ready for the fight to start. And then we just kind of put ourselves out of position a little bit there.
Gotcha. Apagando las
Okay.
luces.
We probably could have used that time as well, that extra time, to set up behind them. That way we don't have, instead of having like a TP up here, where now, okay, we teleport out, it's still pretty far away from the fight, we have to get healing from our supports. Maybe we could have like placed it, hacked the health pack and placed it on a health pack, and then now we can run up from high ground, have a high ground advantage, drop on them. When we get out of fight, we translocate, get healed up immediately, and just run up to the high ground, and then again have the high ground advantage. So I probably should say that'd be better than coming from the slow ground. Additionally, notice that when we are ulting here, we're not in the middle of all of them. We're on the very edge. So we only actually end up getting 3 of them rather than most of them. Whereas, let's say we just positioned. Let's go back to when we hacked. Let's say we positioned a couple inches to the side. All right. Let's say we just walk straight in the middle of them, and EMP here. Well, now we can get everybody, right? Versus 3 people. So that just
going for the Rhine as you saw. Right?
Okay. So you're specifically targeting Reinhardt, but you could also get the Reinhardt if you stand here, and because he's within range of that. And then that's 2 times the value if you're getting 2 times the people. In fact, it's probably more than 2 times the value. It's more like 3 times the value, because if you get more people, that means they have less abilities, right? Like if you only hack 3 people, then the people who aren't hacked, let's just say, Zarya and Ana. Ana has nade and sleep to stop you guys from advancing. Zarya can bubble everybody while they're hacked, right? Whereas if you hack everybody, well, now nobody has abilities, so you could kill them much, much easier. So in general, hacking 6 versus hacking 3 is probably like 3 times the value, right? So want to be getting as many people as possible. Additionally, you can double hack that Reinhardt and stop him from getting his, like if you wanted to here, you could double hack the Reinhardt, and then that stops him from getting his shield back from even longer, and then you stop him from getting his ultimate even longer. Alright. Now we do want to reset translocator at some point here. Probably want to cancel that. Yep, there you go.
Be right back. ¿Qué tal?
Okay, now we do get the kill on her, but once again, you possibly could have waited for her to stand still, rather than just immediately starting to shoot at her. Now you still got it, but that's a possibility there that we could have gone for.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we did not pay attention to kill feed there.
Yeah, we didn't realize she
Mhm.
got rest.
Yep, that's awareness, right? You could have seen it in kill feed. You could also see if you press tab. You can see that she's not actually
Yeah, this is
respawning.
when I noticed. Oh, this is when I noticed I fucked up when she shows up in the kill
Hmm.
feed again.
Yep. Additionally, spawn camping is only really typically going to get value if you're currently not fighting a fight, right? Spawn
Hmm.
camping gets value if you're in between fights because because you can stagger them further, and if, like, let's say your whole team was dead and you're just waiting for the next fight to start, then that
Hmm.
gets value. But if the fight's happening, well, then what is you spawn camping Widowmaker doing?
Okay,
It's
I
just
was
a 5 v
thinking
5, right? Good.
but I was thinking that the widow is carrying the team. So if I could keep the widow busy or kill her, then my team would be able to edge out the other team.
Okay, so then that's putting. So let's think of it that way. It's a 5v5. That's therefore putting a reliance on gold player gold, right? You said that at the beginning. That's putting
Yeah.
a reliance on gold players to get you out of gold and win your games for you, right?
Okay.
If you get, and gold, that's not going to happen. Gold players are gold players. So if you go a consistent, oh, sorry, I forgot this is quick play, but
Yeah. True.
let's say it is comp, right? Um, Gold players are always going to be gold no matter what. Gold players are
Mhm.
are always, if you did not exist in the game, if you were a neutral and you had no impact at all, you would always have a 50% win rate because you'd always win half, lose half in the long run, right?
Like, for example, in
Mm-hmm.
this case, the widow I think is their best player.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had comp games, for example, today,
Mm-hmm.
where I felt the other team got carried by, well, not carried, but it's not that the other people didn't play good, but the main point that made the other team win is it's a diamond player playing
Mm-hmm.
Farah, and then getting pocketed by a Mercy.
Yep.
Um, so sometimes if I was able to shut down this
Yeah.
Farah, then my team would have had a much better chance
Yes,
than.
so that's called identifying win conditions, right? You identify, for us to win, I want to shut down this particular person because they're doing a lot. But that doesn't necessarily apply in this situation because there's right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. I'd say this is a
Okay.
wrong way to do what you're trying to do. The Because what you can do here is, because Widowmaker's not in the fight anyways. She's respawning. She's not participating. All we have to do is go and participate in the fight and win the fight here, and the Widowmaker being dead, it doesn't change anything. Now,
Okay.
when we would want to stop Widowmaker from coming back to the fight is if, like I said, if our team's dead, if the fight hasn't started yet, if the fight just ended, if it's in between a fight, right? Anytime the fight isn't happening, this is a completely fine strategy. But once the fight does happen, then you want to be in the fight. Now, does that mean, like, okay, I can come over to the fight and then, okay, the fight's dragging out, Widowmaker's coming back, okay, I'm going to go and kill Widowmaker because she's now, instead of all the way in spawn, she's like right here, right? So we
Mhm.
can come back to the fight, start shooting and stuff. Okay, Widowmaker's coming and I'm going to kill her now, right? So that's different because you're still participating in the fight. Here, the issue is that we sit out of the fight so long that we're just going a neutral 50, like we're going a neutral 5v5 1v1, right? Which means that we just don't gain any positive value, right? We're it's
Mhm.
always, it's not never going to be positive. We're just, if we're just spawn camping here, it's always going to be neutral, which means that our team could end up just losing this fight. Whereas if we come and participate in this fight and then spawn camp Widowmaker, then that's going positive value. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
so here, just, it's not a bad idea per se to spawn camp, but you have to know when and why you spawn camp.
¿Extrañaste?
Okay, decloak closer to her. It's gonna be, the closer we've always been really far away
Yeah.
from people, right? The closer you are to the Widowmaker, the more damage you're gonna do, the more accurate you will be because it'll be more difficult to land your shots,
True.
right? When we're right
But then
here, good.
when they move a lot inside my screen, then I feel my aim is worse than other people's. Sometimes the Widowmakers doing submachine gun can just kill me.
Can you rephrase that? So you're saying when you feel like when you're close, you're more inaccurate.
If I'm close, then it comes down to an aim contest because the Widow's going to move fast and she's very thin, and she's going to submachine gun me. And I don't know. I do have the advantage there, but I have lost duels that way.
It's in the no, it's the opposite. When you're farther away, that drags out the fight and that gives them more time to shoot at you, and then it becomes an aim contest. Right? When
Okay.
you are close to someone, you do more damage. You melt this Widowmaker in 2 seconds, and she's dead. It doesn't give her time to shoot at you and make it into an aim contest. And on top of that, who has closer range, Widowmaker or Sombra?
It's Sombra.
Sombra has closer range. Widowmaker's longer range. Right?
Mhm.
So, therefore, we want to be closer because that makes it more difficult for her to get value. You're going to do more damage to her. She has less health. But where we are going to see issues is if we take long time to kill her. So, you're just overall going to be much better. Like, is it going to be easier to kill someone from back here where she's smaller and where we have fall off damage? Damage where you do less damage
No,
from a distance and all of that
no.
versus here where look at this would be almost difficult to miss if we're like right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a much bigger target.
Yeah, true.
I'm out of here.
Come up with me. Let's keep this moving.
Let them eat cake.
I might need this later.
Okay.
Miss me? See you later.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Beacon and plate.
My ultimate is deployed.
Hey there.
Push the pylon.
Feeling much better. He vuelto. Translocating.
Uh oh.
Here I am.
Heroes never die. Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Ay, pobrecito. ¿Me extrañaste?
Yeah, I spent a long time without translocated positions.
So you have it all the way back on this, right? Wait, okay there. That's a little far away from the fight. Where would you say might be a better place to have that? Because we remembering the three.
Behind this block in front of us. No. Right
Oh.
side, right side.
Mhm.
Front. No. Forward. You are the
this
Widowmaker.
right here.
Right side to the right. Yeah, here.
Mm-hmm.
The
Okay.
right side of the block,
I-
so it can be seen.
I would probably say that you'd be best if you have it on the high ground. Okay. All right. Because
Yeah, but that's the place that people might contest though.
Okay.
Easily.
If you put it up there, right? If you put a translocator up here and then proceed to come and fight over here, well then if that's the case, then you can you can keep an eye on the Genji and the Widowmaker, right? Because those are the only two characters that can reach it, right? Genji and Widowmaker. So if you are behind them and you see them and they're not going for it, then you're good. If you see them going for it, then all you have to do is just translocate back and then you're fine, right? So we can just place it in the corner here. Even if Genji comes high ground, he might not notice it because he glances left side real quick. He's good, right? So I'd probably say that you'd be best up there because it's a pretty decently safe. When we're talking about safe, we mean probably not going to get destroyed immediately without us knowing, right? Safe doesn't always have to be the inside our spawn, right? Because you could be the safest person in the game and hiding in spawn, and then you never do anything, right? So it's more so relatively safe. Now you also want to be close to close to healing. Here we can just peek the edge, we get healed, we request healing, we're good, and then also just resets us to this fight very very fast and gives us a high ground advantage. All of which are going to be very good. So I'd probably say that all of that makes it a bit better than this, just because it gets you closer, gives you the high ground advantage versus here where you don't get either of that.
Gotcha.
line up that headshot before you're just firing at her. Again, get closer. It's not like she can do anything against you here. Get much closer than we are currently. We also don't line up the headshot before we start shooting at her. We have on Sombra, we have talked about your range, right?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, so I would definitely encourage you, get like consistently, I'd get like 5 to 10 meters closer than we start off each fight.
Translocating.
That's when you are actually going for the kill, right? Otherwise, if you're going for the if you are going for a for ult
Sustain.
charge,
Yeah, if you're going for ult charge and sustain, you might start a little bit far back, because if you're starting a little bit further back, then it might keep you in there longer. Yep, you're correct.
This is not your time.
Okay.
I always try to do. I often, or at least, try to decloak without being heard. You know. Yeah, I think I've told you this before.
It doesn't. You don't always need to do that, decloak without being heard, because in that time, because they're gonna. Let me think about how to word this. If you're decloaking near them, and you're going to shoot at them, then it gives them what, a half a second like half a second. Hey, they're here now. So you can decloak. It really depends upon the situation. You can decloak from further away and then walk closer and then start shooting. But realistically, you're dealing with half a second's worth of reaction time on their part. And in a lot of situations, the speed is more important than the complete surprise advantage, because you want to be getting in there faster, because the faster you get in there, the more damage you're able to do, the more times you're able to repeat this. So just keep that in mind, that the slower your because you have to think about your you think of it like a cycle or a rotation on Sombra, right? I place Translocator down, I go in, I shoot at stuff, I come back, I repeat, right? And the longer this period, that whole cycle takes, the less you're doing, the less damage you're doing, the less hacks you're getting in, the less kills you're getting, and overall the less value you're getting. And taking that extra couple of seconds to decloak far away and then walk in closer, probably isn't worth it, especially when, like, honestly, that could just that could give you them more time to just turn around and find you, right? Like it might not even be worth it, because they could just use that time, like that gives them more time to hear you walking around, that gives them time to turn around and see you, right? So I'd probably say in a lot of situations that's not gonna be worth it.
Okay.
Not all, just a lot.
Looking for me? Apagando las luces.
That's a good EMP.
Ay, pobrecita. Always leave yourself a back door. ¿Qué onda?
Think that Translocator might have. I don't know if it went up top or not. I don't think Translocator went up top, did it? Oh, it did. Okay. Who destroyed that then? Mercy? Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
I might need this later.
Okay, so they go for a nano blade. Make sure looking. Okay, we don't have hack there, so we're kind of good there. We didn't have anything to stop that.
I might need this later.
If we back when we had EMP'd, make sure paying attention to that Reinhardt, because if we had hacked him when he's trying to charge away, that might have been able to get us to roll that fight further rather than.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't react fast enough. I think you saw me trying to hack afterward, but that was me lagging.
Yeah.
My brain lagging.
Again, notice that we fully disengage here. We don't need to be fully disengaging at all. There's no reason to fully disengage. We have invisibility.
I even
Right.
died here, so.
So here in this situation, there's no reason for us to get out when we could have just stayed up on that high ground invisible. And then that stops us from staggering as well. Right, staggering is not going to be very good for us. And then that just already starts us off behind them. So that puts us a step ahead on the rotation, because think about how long it's going to take us to get set up in a position behind them, versus if we're already behind them and we just put a translocator on that high ground and then be good. And we could probably even possibly use that as an opportunity to like kill Widowmaker or something like that, if she was back on this high ground, because if she gets pressured, she's probably like TP or grappling back to that other one.
Not good.
Okay.
Miss me?
Who's a higher value hack target, a Zarya or Reinhardt, who's 1
Reinhardt.
HP? Right. So probably gonna be finding a lot more value here hacking the Reinhardt. That also probably kills him here if you hack him, versus Zarya, who isn't like the most terrible hack target, but the only thing you're hacking is 2 bubbles, versus Reinhardt, where you're hacking his Fire Strike, his charge, his shield,
Oh,
making
one
it.
bubble. Right?
Oh yeah, 1 bubble. Or no, 2 bubbles, because she can bubble herself too, right?
No, I mean one bubble because she already used it just now.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
Initiating. Not good.
Alright, so that just kills Reinhardt flat up there for watching, so keep our eyes open. Request healing, that might get you. Okay. That's good, fine, because we were just hacking the health pack anyways.
I'm really scared of this Widow.
Yeah, we got domed a couple times and then it looks like we never finished that hack.
On my way. My ultimate
Oh, I didn't
ready.
realize.
Feeling much better. Be right back.
Let me get you patched up.
¿Me extrañaste?
So I'm playing the angle so I don't get catch.
See you later. Gotcha. I might need this later.
Wow, that was a really good play.
Translocating.
Yep, I like that we have the up here. Make sure you're requesting healing. I don't think I've seen us press that
Yeah,
button
I
yet.
never do that. I don't know how to. I have to press C and then drag my mouse to the left.
Yeah,
You know?
you can bind it as a button. I'd recommend doing that, because if you bind it as a button, that just gets you healing faster. Whenever you request healing, it gives your supports an in-game audio cue that now they know where
Okay.
you are, right? So the same way you hear like a Genji when he's nano blading, your supports can hear where you are, go, oh, Sombra's top left, she needs healing. That gets you
Okay.
healing faster. So I'd recommend that. Just press it anytime you need it. Here, that probably gets us healing much faster. Additionally, that
Yeah, so that
translocate.
was a wasted translocate.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it now. I didn't think about it.
Yep,
earlier.
could have just jumped straight off the edge, and it would have been the same thing.
And I just got headshot.
No, you didn't get headshot. It's just because we got body shot, and then because we're 83 HP. So requesting healing possibly could help with that. Additionally, note that we're EMPing pretty much, I would say, an already lost fight, because it's a 4 versus 6, and Junkrat's 1 HP, and they have close spawns, and they're currently using 1/2 ultimates. So probably, I would say, not the time to be using EMP. And then additionally, they do have like 2 ultimates if they need it. So we have in the past, we've already talked about how to tell whether or not a fight's won or lost by watching kill feed, right?
Yeah.
Have we gone in a little bit more in depth and talked about the other things that go into whether or not you're winning or losing?
No,
No?
we're talking
Okay.
about one person is an advantage, two people is a lost fight. Or one fight.
Well, not necessarily. So why don't we get into that? So, 1 to 2 people is a advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight. So you might have noticed that 2 is the middleman. 2 is kind of the hovering point, and the reason why that is because there's a lot of other things that go into whether or not you're winning or losing a fight as well, not just who's up or down, right? So other things that go into it are which team has closer spawns, which team has more health, which team has more ultimates, more abilities, which team has better positioning, right? There's a lot of other things, right? And all these different things have a big impact. So you could, for example, right, you could be down 2 people here, and their entire team is 1 HP, and maybe that's still winnable because you have the potential to get a bunch of kills here, right? Or you could be down 2 people and you could have a really big ult combo and it's possibly winnable, right? Like let's say you have their whole team grabbed and you have dragon, right? Still winnable because you can kill them all, right?
From what I
Mhm,
understand, from what I've been reading, I guess, or watching,
mhm.
when there is a the more advantage the enemy team has, the faster I need to make things happen if I am to stand a chance in that fight. Because if it just drags out, we lose. Right?
Yeah, so the how that works is that like if or let me think about that. So um not so you have to identify when fights are winning and losing. Not necessarily do you want to run in and do things if you're losing, because then that means that you might end up just making a rash play. In fact, the longer the fight drags out when you're losing, the more of a chance you have to pull it around and win. That's you have to think of it like this. If you're winning a fight and you go in and you press your advantage and you push really aggressively when you're winning, then that means that you kill them faster than they're able to do things. But if the fight drags out, then you open up for their opportunity to pull the fight around, for them to get their players back from respawning, for them to charge up ultimates, for them to get all their health back, right? So when the longer the fight drags out, the more advantageous it is for the losing team because they have more opportunities to pull it around. So I would say it's not I don't know if I necessarily disagree with what you're saying. It's more so that you have to make sure that you're thinking about it that way as well. So that's why when you're losing, you have to play more passive, right? You put when you're at a disadvantage, you play more passive. When you've lost the fight, you play incredibly passive, right? You're going.
Oh, okay. I was thinking
Mhm.
the opposite. Like when if the enemy team not if it's a lost fight, but if we are 5v6, then I have to go more aggressive to get
No,
quick
no,
things far faster.
Nope, opposite. So, that's called yeah. So you 1 to 2 advantage or disadvantage. That's where you are playing when you have won a fight. You play more aggressive, or sorry, when you're advantage, you play more aggressive. You and then when you're at a disadvantage, you play less aggressive. When you've won a fight, you play incredibly aggressive. When you've lost a fight, you play incredibly passive. You look to get out if possible, or you let them kill you. This way, you don't stagger. You also don't use ults in won or lost fights. So here, where we are down 2 people, and or sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're down 2 people. 2 of us are really low HP. They have more ultimates. They have close spawns. They have more health. Right. All these things are telling us this is currently a lost fight. Even though we're down 2 people, all the other things are telling us that this is just flat up a lost fight. So us using our ultimate here, let's keep watching. I would probably say there's a very, very high chance that we still lose this fight, even though we get use our ultimate and get 5 people, right? So we get killed. We can fast forward a couple seconds, and we still lose, right? It doesn't change anything. So our ultimate just doesn't do anything at all. And it's the same thing if you win a fight and you use your ultimate, then it's overkill. It doesn't do anything. If you lose a fight and you use your ultimate, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. So hold on to your ultimates, come into it the next fight with it, because it's gonna actually probably find value in the next fight.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we talk about aggression scaling, because that's important as well. Or I guess sorry, real quick to go more into that. When you're so if you are down 2 people, right, and you have a significant advantage, you can win. But if you're down 2 people and you just don't have any advantage at all, no additional advantage, right, you're down 2 people and it's neutral on all other accounts, then that means that that's probably a lost fight because you don't have any other advantage to pull it around, right? And it doesn't always, the 1 to 2 and the 2 to 3 is a rough list. It's not a end all be all, right? You can be down 1 person and have significant disadvantages in all their aspects, right? You could be down 1 person and have your entire team be 1 HP and you're all in a grab and you're about to die and it's a lost fight, right? So there's a ton of other things that go into this. The 1 to 2 and the 2 to 3 is just a rough idea. That's a rough rule of thumb to go with. Now, to expand again more on this idea and this concept, you have what you call aggression scaling. This is how you think about it in your head and how you can make it easy to understand when you should be doing what. So, aggression scaling is thinking about your aggression as a scale. So you're going to have at 100%, you have super aggressive. At 0%, you have super passive. At 50%, you have your neutral, which is what you come into most fights with, because when you come into most fights, it's neutral. Nobody's winning or losing, so you're playing at 50%. 50% doesn't mean you're playing passive. 50% means you're doing your normal stuff, your same old, same old. When you are like when you have advantages and when you have opportunities. So let's say Widowmaker's standing still and she's low HP, or somebody's low, or you see an opportunity for a hack, or you are going in with your ult, or you see somebody's out of position. Right, those are all
Mhm.
opportunities. You get more aggressive when you have opportunities. You have
Just
advantages.
when
Good.
okay, may I
Mm-hmm.
ask
Yep.
request one thing
Mm-hmm.
when when I hear these things in the
Mm-hmm.
session, I try to keep most of them, but some of them I may not remember it.
Yeah.
So in the notes, can you include that? Because I always kind of study the notes a little bit.
Yeah, that will 100% go in the notes. Yeah, because you got the notes for all of them. So yeah, that will
Yeah.
100% go in the notes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So you get opportunities. You get more aggressive. You get advantages. Advantages like we just discussed. Advantages are firstly all of your kills. Right. You're up one person. You go from 50, you go to 60. 2 kills, maybe you go to 70. 3, 4, 80, 5, 6, 90, 100, something around that, right? And then also, like we discussed, other advantages go into that, right? Their whole team's 1 HP, that's an advantage. You can play incredibly aggressive, right? They're in a grab, right? That's an advantage. You play more aggressive, okay? And then you take the same skill and you go down with disadvantages and with a lack of resources. So lack of resources are going to be like your health. Resources
Mhm.
are: do you have your abilities? Do you have translocator available? Do you have your invisibility? Right. So think through. Right. If you have all of your abilities, you're never gonna, just because you have all of your resources doesn't mean you're gonna go up in aggression. You don't, just because you have your translocator doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going up to 100% aggression. That's not how it works.
Mhm.
But if you don't have your translocator, are you gonna run into the backline? Probably not, because
Yeah. No.
then you don't have
Mhm.
a way to get out, right? If
Mhm.
you're 1 HP, you're gonna run into the backline? Probably
No.
not, because you're gonna die, right? Versus if you have all of your health, doesn't mean that you can go up to 100%, but it means you can go up to your 50. Additionally, you adjust downwards to disadvantages. Disadvantages is the same thing with the kills, like we said, and then the same thing with having the enemy, like your whole team, like being 1 HP or out of, having
Mhm.
bad positioning, or yada yada, all the other things we said. So think of your aggression that way. Don't think that, like, I just want to make sure you're not, I guess I'm giving a warning. Don't feel like you're locked into any of these. You're not going to go into a fight and then see an opportunity and then be locked into 100% for the next 10 seconds. That's not how it works. It's going to be constantly fluctuating. You're going to see an opportunity, go up to 100%, and then maybe you get shot at and you're 1 HP, and then now you're dropping straight from 100% to 0% in 1 second, right? So
Mhm.
you're going to be fluctuating all over the place on this scaling, and you just need to know, where am I on the scale right now, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then what was, I feel like there's something else I was gonna say. Do do do. I'm having a blank, so I can't recall if there's something else. I'll make sure to mention it if I recall what I was
Okay.
gonna discuss. But yes, that's the general gist of how all works. Yeah. Dang man, it's on like the tip of my tongue here.
Thanks.
Soldier
Be right back.
76, reporting for duty.
With Sombra,
Hmm?
if I see my tanks are playing outside of the point, should I try? Because I'm quite squishy. Should I try to touch the point if my tanks are like Diva Hog, for example? If they're playing deathmatch style outside and are not touching the point, should I be trying to touch it
It,
at the expense of maybe dying?
in which situation? Like when the round's about to end?
For example, for first point of Volskaya, for example,
So when you were capping
I'm
point, so
defending. I'm defending.
you're defending. Okay, so first point and when you're about to lose point, is that what you're asking? Or just in general?
In general, when I'm defending, oh, so what you're saying is
You
I shouldn't touch unless that means I'm going to lose the point.
you aren't, yes, you should never touch point unless it's an absolute necessity, because if you do try to go and touch, you're probably just going to die immediately, right? Because it's a very dangerous place for you to be standing. So let's say you're on defense here and you're coming and you're staggering back from spawn and they're about to cap. Go ahead and touch, because if you see that there's nobody else on point, because it's a last resort, you have to go and touch. But in this situation where like cart's all the way back here, then why do you that you would have no
No
reason to
point,
go and
okay.
contest, right?
What if there's, for example, if I'm not losing the game completely, but for example they are about to get a tick, one tick, is this worth touching?
Typically, a tick is not. It is a higher priority to win a fight than to give up one tick. One
Okay.
tick is inconsequential. Usually, it's better to win the fight than to lose the fight and attempting to save one tick.
Okay.
Hey there. The payload's not doing much good sitting there.
Yeah, I couldn't time it at the with him. And
No, I
want
think I've already asked. Go ahead.
Yeah, my sense is adequate. If that, I've told you my sense before.
Yeah.
I feel it is
Mhm.
adequate. I've seen what kind of sense people use.
Mhm.
It's like 4.2 EDPI, I think.
Okay.
4.2K. I
Mhm.
mean,
¿Qué tal?
so
Mucho mejor.
it's not
Yeah.
on either extreme scale.
Do you? Okay. What type of mouse do you have?
I have it's a brand from my country, so you probably don't know it,
Mhm.
but it's not.
Okay.
It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons on the side, so
Okay.
enough
Is it
for abilities in melee in
okay?
the
I guess
in the
more so
top.
I'm asking is what's the quality of it? Is this like a $5-10 very cheap mouse, or is this like a
Oh,
gaming mouse or
it's not a high end one, but it's
Mhm.
like $25,
25? Okay, that sounds
25 to 30, I guess.
yeah, that sounds pretty decent.
Personne
Then
n'échappe à mes
then I
gardes.
would maybe think that a lot of your aim issues are coming from um are possibly coming just from jittery aim. So make sure that you're when you're aiming, you're attempting to just keep your crosshair smooth, right? Focus on so when you're like going and practicing aim, look to keep it smooth unless you have a situation where you're required not to keep it smooth, right? So when you're just staring straight at Widowmaker and she's standing still, you want it to be smooth because it's not like she's moving around very crazily, right?
Okay.
Versus, let's say Tracer's blinking around you. Well, now you can't just, very slowly track her. You have to be flicking around a lot. So that's different things for different aiming styles for different
Mhm.
scenarios. So
There
make
are
sure that.
situations like
Good.
okay.
Say
I
that
was
again.
saying that there are situations like, for example, if I'm fighting, trying to do a Lamoira, sometimes I don't move at all
Mm.
because she's not going to headshot me. So I just try to stop moving so
Yeah.
I can track her
Mm.
better if I can.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm more talking about your mouse movement. I'm talking about make sure
Mhm.
that you're keeping your mouse smooth versus flicking around with your mouse.
Okay.
Hmm?
Heroes never die.
You have good taste.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, it happens.
Damage.
10 seconds remaining.
I might need this later.
Probably use that translocator rather than going up to this top right. Even though that is a good spot to be in, you probably want to use
It
that
is.
to just
I think.
good.
I think it's behind the block, so I wasn't too worried about this widow here because I didn't think maybe it's not behind the block, but I think it's she cannot kill it from there.
Yeah, the idea is that in
The idea.
rather than putting it here, we want to just toss it straight up to Widowmaker and jump on her head,
Okay.
right? Because if we were to do that, then we can get a free kill on Widowmaker, and that stops her from being able to get valued. We're going to be a better duelist if we're right here on top of Widowmaker. We are more likely to lose that, or sorry, more likely to win that duel than we are to lose that duel, because it's a
Okay.
Sombra versus Widowmaker at very close range. She has less health than us. We have a better gun than her at this range, right? So I would probably look to do that, and then that stops her from getting value. As you said, she's getting a lot of value as of the moment, and that'd probably just be a very good thing to be doing at their time. It looks like we're trying to do that. It was just a little bit delayed, so that's exactly what we do. So that's good. You see how easily you melt her.
And I didn't notice the mercy coming to rest.
Yep. Make sure that's remembering team composition dictates play style. Every time that they're on a different team composition, we have to play completely differently, right? And Mercy's the only character in the game who can go for reses, so we never ever have to worry about bodies if Mercy isn't on their team. But if Mercy's on their team, well, now all of a sudden, if we get a kill, then we have to watch the dead body, especially if we don't know where Mercy is, or if we don't know if she has res or not. If we know where she is and she's across the map, or if we know that she doesn't have res, or we know that she's dead, then we don't have to worry about it. But if we want to be paying attention. I would say that this single hand, like I get essentially against Mercies in my games when I'm paying attention, just almost never get a res off because every time I get a kill, I'm actively looking to stop it because I know she's gonna look to stop it. So I boop her away. On Sombra you can hack her, you can kill her.
You're a support player.
I'm a DPS player.
Okay.
Yep. So every time I I intentionally look to get, stop the res, and it got a lot of free kills.
Yeah, I just like it
Right.
because
So, and then note that mistake not only puts us that's a 2-player mistake because it puts not only gets their player back and puts them +1. We could have also gotten a kill out of that, which would have been negative. So you have to think of that kind of as like a -2 versus a it would be a +2 for you versus a -2 for you, right? Yeah, exactly. So here in the scenario, big old mistake. Stopping that res gets us a free kill on Mercy and keeps Widowmaker dead.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are, let's see, we have 11 minutes here, and then I don't think we're gonna have enough.
Here I had actually seen the Widowmaker mine that helped to kill me. Should I have destroyed it instantly, or since I didn't because I was shooting at other stuff?
Say that again. You had what on the Widowmaker?
I had seen the Widowmaker mine that ended up helping to kill me when I transferred.
Okay. We can take a look at that. Yeah, I mean, if you had time.
I had seen that before. I just chose to not shoot it because I was doing other things at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, that's something that you could have done. It's not a big major deal because it's something tiny that you probably didn't think about at the time, right? It's a bigger mental oopsie to miss the res than it is to not think about killing the mine because in your head you're thinking, oh, I don't have a reason to go over there. I'm on the top left high ground, right? Why would I need to go to the top right high ground, right? So it's not a big deal that you miss the res or miss the mine. It's a big deal that you miss the res. That's the big deal there.
Okay.
That's
good. I was saying I did realize the mine was there. I knew it. I had seen it before. I just chose to not break it.
Yep.
So,
not a major mistake. It's a bigger mistake to miss that. Like that the Mercy missing the res. That's like a
so
win or lose.
Expecting the Mercy to go for the res.
Yep. Because you know that they're on a Mercy in their team comp, right? The same way that when they have like a Junkrat, you watch for traps on the floor, and when they have a Pharah, you're going to, and you know that she has barrage. Well, now you want to watch the sky behind you, right? Like watching for her to come in for the barrage from the sky, right? The same way that when they have a Sombra, you have to be checking your backline and waiting for her to decloak, right? So you always change how you're playing based off of who you're playing against, and also playing with on your team, right? And that's just something to keep in mind when you're up against. It's a really important thing when you're up against Mercy because that's right there. That's the type of mistake that could win or lose a fight, right?
Okay.
So
maybe I could have won the fight if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have won that fight if it wasn't for that.
Yep.
I might need this later.
I agree. So going over here, main points, quick review. Good.
If you have more things you think it's a good idea to learn now, then sure. But if you think that this isn't enough information, we can just stop and then take the rest of the time to write the notes, maybe.
Oh, I mean, I write the notes.
What do you think is worth?
I write the notes afterwards, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, like the notes are just it's included that you paid for it, right? So you're gonna get the notes afterwards, right? Whether or not I say this stuff or not. This is though is going to give you this helps me visualize in my head what your main stuff is, and that helps me write the notes. But then also it's gonna help you visualize it and understand for yourself and give you that reminder.
No. We have one session after this, but after that, I plan if you are still coaching, I plan to continue.
Yeah, that definitely works with me. If you're interested in more, I'd recommend going for the subscription, just because that's going to be 20% off for you. All right, no,
okay. Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, there's no downsides to it. You always have the option to cancel, and then that just how that works is you just sign up for whatever order you want, and then you get that same order once a month.
Okay.
Yep, and then that's just 20% off. So yeah, I'd recommend going with that for if you want more. Be happy to have you. So wrapping up the session, right? Ability usage, translocator, put it in safe places. Make sure that it is and relatively safe. It doesn't have to be on the other side of the map. More importantly, you want to be getting back to the fight soon and getting heals fast, and then a lot of times as well, taking high grounds with it is going to be great too. I believe in the past we probably would have gone over how great high grounds are. High grounds are fantastic. Look to take it more often.
Yeah.
Make sure we just putting a translocator up there because usually it's going to be in a very safe place to have it on the high ground, and then we can go in, or we can have it up over here. Right, we can
Yeah,
shoot.
Sombra can move from between two high grounds really fast, and that's really good because other people use abilities to get on the high ground. So I'm always one step ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and from there we can just drop and then translocate back up, be safe, peek for healing, and then just do the same thing again. Right, so take high grounds with it. Besides that, hack pretty good. Just like once in a while, or we could have hacked someone better. Right. Invis, I think you did pretty good. Don't feel like you have to decloak a mile away from them though. You can just do it close to them because look at the time from decloaking to shooting. Right, it's a very short period of time. You're giving them half a second to probably less than half a second
So
to notice you.
Is
Good.
it so maybe I'm thinking maybe that's decloaking without sound maybe it's worth doing, but only when I have a lot of time in my hands and I want to increase the kill chance.
Yes, I would say yeah. Only if you have like a lot of time, and additionally, it depends. Like if you already have your ultimate and you have a ton of time, then go for it. If you should be, another thing is like if you don't want to be found, like so if you're trying to be sneaky because like the fight's over and you don't want to go in when your whole team's dead, right? Then go for it. But if you are just like are going in to get ult charge, or you're going in to get a kill, or you're going in for any other reason, it's probably just gonna be a better idea to go in and shoot, right? Just immediately, because it's only going to take you half a second before you can start shooting at things. Then overall ability usage probably goes to like a low to medium priority for you to work on. Moving on, ultimate usage. Make sure that we're just looking to center ourselves more so in the middle of them rather than being on the very edge. And then you can look to double hack people because this extends the duration. Good.
That's an important thing issue I often have. If I try to be in the middle of them, that gets more people more easily. But if I'm on the edge, then often I don't have to translocate out.
Yeah, so that's one of the advantages of having translocator close to the fight, right? Because if you have translocator close to the fight, then we can do this, and then immediately be back shooting at stuff, right?
Okay.
Versus if I don't, but then if I stay on the edge, then I only get half the value out of it, right? Because it's probably going to, because of course you don't want to die, but it'd probably be better that you get a big EMP and not be there to follow up on it and have your team follow up on it, than for you to get like a half as good or 1/3 as good EMP and then be there to follow up on it, right? It's just probably more value to get that big EMP.
Okay. Because I've seen some people say something like don't be scared to do an EMP just for example 3 people or 2 people.
Yeah. So
or even
it's
one person if it's a key target like a transcendence.
yeah. So that's saying don't be afraid to do it, but if you have the option to do more, go for more people, right? Because it's the same exact thing with like any other ultimate, like graph, right? Don't be afraid to go for a 2-person grab because you don't always have to get 6 people. But if you have the option to go for 6 people and you choose to go for 2 people, then that's a big no-no, right?
Okay.
So you can go for 2 people with an EMP, but it's much more preferable to go for more, especially if you have the option to go for more. So overall, that wasn't like super big. If you're at least as long as you're understanding that it was only like a one-time thing. So low to medium priority. Moving on, mechanics. Make sure. Let's see. What did we talk about? Make sure keeping your aim smooth when we're just aiming at people. Right. You don't need to move your mouse around very much when you're aiming straight at people. You don't have to be like super jittery with it where you're doing this. Right. That's not gonna be very good for you. Yeah. Besides that, I'm trying to think. There wasn't a ton with our just general mechanics. With her translocating as well, make sure we're just getting efficient at that rotation, getting in and out fast. Positioning, make sure that we're taking high grounds, make sure we're using cover, make sure that we're taking high ground. Oh, I already said that, taking high grounds. Make sure that we are just kind of positioning on the sides and behind them, going for those flanks and off angles, which I believe we've talked about, right? Flanking and off angling. To make sure we're doing that. Overall, that's probably like a medium priority for you to work on. And then finally, we have awareness/aggression. This is both of those combined because awareness directly impacts your aggression, even though these are basically two categories worth of stuff. Awareness, make sure that we're paying attention to just what's my health bar at, requesting healing when I'm low. Make sure that when
I need
I'm
healing.
sorry, I'm blanking. Make sure that we're paying attention to kill feed and what's happening in kill feed. Up 1 to 2, advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3, won or lost fight. Don't use ult in won or lost fights. Look to play. We'll get into that other part in a second, right? Make sure that you're paying attention to what's happening in tab, right? What team comp are they on? What team comp are we on? Did anybody swap characters? Typically, you want to be pressing tab once in between every single fight. This gives you a lot of information to work with. Besides that, just in general, pay attention to who's around me, what's happening. Aggression, think about aggression scaling, right? You adjust upwards with advantages and disadvantages, and downwards with, you adjust upwards with advantages and opportunities, and then downwards with disadvantages and a lack of resources. One thing that I just remembered that I was going to say earlier is you have to remember that all of these are all working together at the same time, right? Because you're going to be in a fight and you're going to be, maybe you're up 2 people, down 1 person, and then you are, half your team's half HP, and then they're in the middle of grabbing all of you guys, and then you're in the middle of nano blading, right? So there's so many different variables that go into play, and you have to remember that it's not going to always just be one thing. You have to think about how they play into each other, right? So an easy way to do that with the kills is just, we're up 2 people, down 1 person. That means that we're up 1, right? It's just the simple addition and subtraction, right? So just think of it like that, because you have to think about how they work against each other. Because one thing could be pulling you up to 100, but then one thing could be pulling you down to 0. So now you have to decide, what am I doing?
I have like I don't right now we're done with the time. But do you mind if I ask a question in text and then you reply when you get the chance?
Yeah. So real quick, that one's just probably the medium high priority, and then that's the order. It's the awareness/aggression. 2 is probably positioning. 3 is going to be your ability usage. 4 is mechanics. 5, if let's say mechanics and ult usage there at the bottom. And that's pretty much it. You can ask the question now. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be overtax.
Okay, so it's when I used to play in the team when I was main tank, it felt like the fights were a lot better defined. Since right now when I'm playing in gold,
I'm out of here.
there's a lot of staggering. So the fact that people, including myself, of course, the fact that people stagger a lot makes my ult tracking a lot harder. Is that normal?
Ult tracking a lot harder, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because usually I can even if I don't know exactly how much damage people have done, I know, okay, this fight, this guy used dot, and those 3 people didn't use it, so they probably have it for next fight. While now, since there's a lot of staggering, fights are not as clearly defined, and sometimes
yeah, it's gonna be harder for 2 reasons. Firstly, when you're a main tank, you're more so centered around the middle of the fight. As a DPS, you're gonna be on the outskirts, and that might make it harder for you to tell what's going on sometimes. But then also at the same time, yes, when the fights aren't as defined, it can be harder to keep track of all the things that are going on. So yes, that makes sense that it would be harder for you to ult track. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer the question, or is anything else?
Because I was thinking it's weird because I used to almost, well, not always, but almost always know exactly what else they have, and now I just can't do it.
It could also just be because you've gotten out of the habit of it, and you haven't been paying as much attention to it. So
because it helps when I'm playing around what else they have and what I need to counter, right?
Yep. So
Okay,
any other questions?
No, that's it. We're gonna have more sessions, so if more questions pop up, I will.
Sounds good. Feel free to ask whenever. You can just go ahead and schedule. I'm gonna stop the recording there. I'll get you recorded.